In the summer of 2023, Barbie and Oppenheimer opened on the same weekend. Barbie alone generated $500 million domestically. Together, they produced a cultural moment that felt like a confirmation. The movie theater was not dying. Theater executives gave interviews, analysts revised projections upward. Barbenheimer was proof. Then 2024 happened, and 2025. And by 2026, the box office number was still stuck at around $8.6 billion, 23 to 27% below 2019's $11.4 billion, after 7 years of recovery, with the percentage of frequent moviegoers down 22%. Barbenheimer was a great weekend. It was not a trend. These are the 9 movie theaters falling apart in 2026. Number 9. Metropolitan Theatres and Look Cinemas. Metropolitan Theatres was a century-old family-owned chain based in Los Angeles, a family that built a regional theater institution over 4 generations since the silent film era. It filed for Chapter 11 on February 29, 2024. Look Cinemas, a dine-in theater chain focused on California, filed for Chapter 11 on November 14, 2024. In January 2026, a court filing revealed Look would not assume its master lease for its California properties, effectively ending its operation in its entire geographic footprint. These are the quiet failures. Every major theater market in America has lost at least one chain it did not expect to lose. Number 8. Alamo Drafthouse and CMX Cinemas. Alamo Drafthouse was the most beloved theater chain in America by a certain kind of film audience. Strict no-talking policies, quality food served at your seat, unusual programming, event cinema that a multiplex would never attempt. It filed for Chapter 11 and closed multiple locations. The dine-in model requires consistent high attendance because every seat generates both ticket and food revenue. And when attendance fell, the cost structure designed for full houses became catastrophic at three-quarter capacity. CMX Cinemas, Miami-based, also filed for Chapter 11. The dine-in format attracted a passionate core audience but could not generate sufficient volume from the occasional moviegoer who was the industry's primary growth opportunity. Number 7. iPic Theaters. iPic was the luxury end of the spectrum. Reclining seats, pillows and blankets, in-seat dining with a serious restaurant menu, cocktails and wine, 13 locations, 100 total screens. On February 25, 2026, iPic filed for Chapter 11 in the Southern District of Florida. The company grossed $112.5 million in revenue in 2025 and still lost more than $19 million. iPic fully understood the problem. Movies alone cannot justify the theater visit, and built exactly the product that logic suggested, and still could not make it work. Number 6. ArcLight Cinemas and Pacific Theaters. In April 2021, Decurion Corporation announced that it would not reopen any of its locations, not some, all of them, permanently. The most significant loss was the Cinerama Dome in Hollywood, a geodesic concrete dome showing movies since 1963 that survived the decline of Cinerama itself, the multiplex era, home video, and DVD, only to close in March 2020 and never reopen. ArcLight had reserved seating before it was standard, excellent projection standards, staff who introduced each film before it screened, and Los Angeles locations that had become essential infrastructure for the city's film community. The closure, without even an attempt to reopen, signaled something important. For at least one significant operator, the post-pandemic math had become so uncertain that restarting was not worth the capital risk. The post-pandemic movie theater industry has a structural problem different from every previous disruption. Television, home video, and DVD changed the landscape without eliminating the theatrical value proposition. Streaming is different. Streaming has dramatically shortened the theatrical release window. Films that used to play for 6 months before home availability are now on streaming platforms within weeks. The sense of urgency that drove theatrical attendance has been largely eliminated. The consumer who is ambivalent about going out now has explicit permission to wait. And the wait is short, and the next time a film opens, the theater's value proposition has to overcome not just the inconvenience of going out, but the proven knowledge that a 4 to 6 week wait would have delivered the same content at home at no additional cost. This is not a problem that can be solved by recliners. It is a structural shift in the relationship between theatrical release and home availability. Number 5, Regal Cinemas and Cineworld Group. Cineworld was the second largest theater operator in the world. In September 2022, with approximately $5 billion in debt, it filed for Chapter 11. As part of restructuring, Regal shed 80 to 100 United States locations, dropping from more than 500 to approximately 456 theaters. Cineworld emerged from bankruptcy in July 2023, with a refinanced $1.9 billion debt load extended to 2031. S&P upgraded the parent to a B rating in May 2025, several steps below investment grade, indicating significant risk remains. The restructuring bought time. It did not resolve the underlying competitive reality that Regal was operating in a contracting theatrical market with a debt load that required consistent performance to service. Number 4, AMC Theaters. AMC is the largest movie theater operator in the world, more than 850 locations globally. It survived the pandemic through retail investor support and genuine operational restructuring. It has invested in premium seating, expanded dine-in options at select locations, and operates the A-list subscription program at $19.95 per month. These are intelligent, strategic responses. But the difficult environment has not cooperated. In the past 5 years, AMC has permanently closed 213 locations worldwide. In February 2026, executives warned additional closures were coming. Q4 2025 attendance dropped 10% compared to Q4 2024. Net loss for the quarter was $127.4 million. AMC is not going anywhere. It is the dominant survivor in a contracting industry. But the version of AMC that exists in 2026 is a fundamentally different company than the one that existed in 2019. Number 3, the streaming wars. Netflix launched streaming in 2007. In 2019, it had 167 million subscribers. Then Disney launched Disney Plus in November 2019. Apple launched Apple TV Plus the same month. Every major media company launched competing platforms. By 2026, Netflix has more than 300 million subscribers. Netflix alone spent more than $17 billion on content in 2024. The theater industry emphasizes what streaming cannot replicate: the communal experience, the scale of the screen, the professional audio quality. These advantages are real for large-scale event productions. But for the mid-budget drama, the comedy, the thriller that works on any screen, streaming has learned to serve those films efficiently without requiring the audience to leave home. And the studios have learned to produce those films for streaming because the math has changed. The streaming services have not just competed with the theater. They have restructured the film industry around a model that treats theatrical releases optional for most films and mandatory only for the event that can generate the scale to justify it. Number 2, the box office gap. In 2019, the North American box office generated $11.4 billion. In 2025, approximately $8.6 billion, 23 to 27% below the peak, after 6 years of recovery, with no analyst projecting a return to 2019 levels on any near-term timeline. The consumers who have formed streaming-first habits are not going to reform them simply because a good year of films arrives. A great year of films produces a great year of box office. It does not close the structural gap because the gap is not about the quality of specific films. It is about the habit of theatrical attendance. And habits, once broken, are difficult to rebuild. Number 1, not a theater, a model. The American multiplex was built on the assumption that people would make a habitual trip to the cinema on weekends as a default leisure activity, that studios would produce films for every demographic best experienced in a theater, that the theatrical window was long enough to make waiting a meaningfully worse option than going, and that watching a film with strangers in a dark room on a large screen was worth the inconvenience for a broad population of consumers. Every one of these assumptions is now weaker than it was in 2019. The multiplex model works for the event film, the superhero franchise installment, the science fiction epic, the film designed from its inception to be experienced at maximum scale. The theatrical experience for these films remains genuinely superior to the home alternative. But the multiplex model does not work for the mid-budget theatrical release that is now a streaming premiere, the comedy that Netflix releases directly to 300 million subscribers, the drama that Apple TV Plus streams the same week it would have opened in theaters. The chains that are surviving are positioning themselves as the premium experience for the films that streaming cannot replace. That is a real business. It is a viable business. It is a smaller business than the one that generated $11.4 billion in 2019. The Cinerama Dome is dark. The Alamo Drafthouse locations that served communities for years are closed. The Metropolitan Theatres that survived the silent film era are gone. The iPic luxury experience is in bankruptcy. The multiplex that remains is the destination for the event that cannot wait, the film that demands the screen it was made for, the opening night of the thing everyone is talking about. That is enough to sustain an industry. It is not enough to sustain the industry that existed before all of this began. Subscribe before the next video, because in this story, the thing that saved the theater is the same thing that is slowly replacing it.